and then really started going on my own personal development journey. So between actually reading physical books and having an audible.com membership, when I'm in the car, for the most part, I listen to audiobooks that are really keying in on areas that are helping me helping me learn new things to like kind of push me forward. If there's one takeaway, that's huge. Like, you have to absolutely invest in yourself more than anything else. And that's something that no one can ever take away from you. You have a skill for life, whether it's public speaking or marketing or sales or learning a new tech skill, that kind of thing.
Welcome to the Share the Wealth Show, where minority professionals can learn to escape the racial wealth gap and catapult themselves into abundance. Your host, Nicole Pendergrass, grew her net worth from being negative to multiple six figures. Join her on her investigative mission to expose secret strategies of the wealthy so we can all have the tools needed to build the life and legacy we were created to possess. Now it's time for the show.
Listen, I know you've been digging in, studying everything you can, listening to all the podcasts, reading all the books, even going to meetups. You basically have a degree from YouTube University, right? But you still feel stuck. You don't know how to actually implement what you've learned. You're nervous about taking the next step. And with the economy like it is, especially with a downturn looming, you're even thinking maybe you should just wait it out. I know you've heard that real estate makes more millionaires than any other asset class, but you know what else? More millionaires are made in a downturn than any other market cycle. So now is the perfect time to jump in and really get started. I'm super bullish on growing my portfolio this year, and I don't want you to miss out. So I've decided to start the Microfamily Investing Accelerator. This is a mentorship program where I personally guide you through my 5 proprietary pillars so you can learn how to buy your first commercial multifamily property and scale while not biting off more than you can chew by focusing on 5 to 20 units. That's what I call microfamily. And so you can also get hands-on guidance from an experienced microfamily investor, me, who's been right where you are, nervous about how to start. And so you can also create the cash flow needed to give you freedom and options to build the abundant life that you were destined to live. So I'll be limiting the first cohort to 5 students because they'll have direct access to me and I will be heavily invested in their success. The first group is going to start in January. So if you're ready to grab 2023 by the horns, schedule a free discovery call with me today. The link is in the show notes. Let's hit the ground running in 2023. I look forward to seeing you on the inside. And now let's get back to the show. Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of the Share the Wealth Show. This is the show where we discuss strategies to grow, build, and protect minority wealth. And today we have with us Mr. Andrew, I'll just say Drew Jessup. Is this your first ever podcast?
I think so. Yeah.
I busted his podcast button or whatever you want to, podcast cherry. Whatever we're calling this. Are we doing glasses or no glasses?
No glasses.
Okay. Do you need your glasses to see?
I can see.
Okay.
My glasses are typically for, I don't know, I always forget the term farsighted or nearsighted. Nearsighted is when you can't see far things, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what I am.
That's what I am too. Oh. Yeah, and I never wear my glasses because I'm always up close to a computer, which is why I'm nearsighted. Gotcha. Because I don't do the eye exercises to see into the distance. Like, every something minutes you're supposed to look out, and I don't do that. And so after years of working in front of a computer, you always think like when parents tell kids not to watch their TV so close to the face, like, or don't be up near the TV, that's just going to mess your eyesight. I always thought that was like an old wives' tale. But it's actually true.
Yeah.
Well, if you have kids out there or don't have kids or whatever, that whole being too close to the TV is true. It's not going to happen that quickly, but over years, it really does affect your eyesight. Okay, we are so off topic already. Like, not even started.
Some things parents say are worthwhile, so that's good.
So, everyone, we can chat and finagle like this because I have known Drew for, I don't even want to say how many years. I have to probably do the math in my head because I actually don't. 2000. When did we graduate from high school? 2001.
Yeah.
We went to high school together, but we were in different middle school. No, there was only one middle school.
Yeah. Were you in Pat's?
Huh? Pat's? Yeah, I was in Pat's.
Yeah. So I think I met you originally.
Yeah, because we were at the elementary school then.
Yeah, elementary. Yeah.
Oh, so we go way, way back, family friends, like we hung out at each other's house, our families know each other, that kind of thing. So there will probably be a lot of shenanigans tonight. Well, this is tonight. We're filming at night. But anyway, so Andrew, we lost touch for a while. I'm glad we reconnected. And I already knew some of the things that you were doing before, but not in that much detail. So now I feel like this podcast episode is a way for me to get caught up as well with the intricacies of Mr. Jessup. So I guess we're going to start with, I know you're heavy into tech. I know after high school, you got started into real estate. There's so many things that magic you were doing. You were betting at some point, like professional. What were you playing professionally? Blackjack, professional blackjack dealer. Not dealer, player. I don't know the terminology. Anyway, I just said so much right there. People are like, who is this guy? What does he actually do? They're so confused right now. So just start at the beginning. Tell them a little bit about your money entrepreneurial mindset growing up, like how your family life was, like what made you get interested into the things you were interested early and how that developed into what you were doing like throughout your journey.
Gotcha. Well, appreciate you having me on the show. Definitely feel privileged to be able to share some information, and hopefully people can get something positive out of some of the things that I say. Where did it start? I mean, I grew up in a basic, a standard household. My mother was a teacher, my father is a software engineer, and kind of followed in his path in those footsteps in the software engineering realm. But I remember like back in the 80s when I was a little kid, he would like bring a big old computer home and I would like sit on his lap and watch him develop stuff. He actually made me games and stuff like that. So that got me into video games and stuff early. He never was much into video games, but I remember a few games that we used to play on the computer just back in the 80s. They were horrible games if you look at them now, but I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. So my entrepreneurial spirit and mindset really didn't stem from anything that my parents said or did, but I just was always interested in how to leverage and how to make more money, because it seems like those people with a lot of money were able to do whatever, a lot more cool stuff. So even as a little kid, I started a lawn care business. I took my parents' lawnmower, and like when computer printers first like started coming out, like commercially available at home computer printers, I would print out flyers, and I would go to every house in the neighborhood and said a lawn care company. Of course, it wasn't an official business or anything, but I called it A&M Services. And Andrew stood for Andrew, and Mania. Mania was my neighbor. So I would cut the grass, and she would do the weed whacking. We would charge $20, which was like a steal. And I would give her $5, and I would keep 15 to do the cutting grass, because cutting grass is harder than weed whacking.
Okay, I was about to say, how do you cut her only $5? But I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
you had the harder job.
Heavy lawnmower up and down for a couple of hours versus zoop 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 zoop, and she's done. So
okay.
And, zoop zoop is a technical term, by the way. So
yeah.
So it's funny though, because I passed all these flyers. I went to every house in the neighborhood, and like people started calling the house, and my mom, they're like, "Hello, is this A&M Services?" And my mom was like, "What?" Like, "Oh yeah, it is. It is A&M Services, but He's 7 or 8 years old, but he does good work. He can cut the grass, And my mom was like, I was like, Mom, you're supposed to, basically be my secretary, but she wasn't doing it the right way. You know, we ended up getting a few clients, and during the summertime, I would just be cutting grass all day, every day, and was able to make some money. It was always like being kids always think, little kids always want to be grown, and people who are older want to look younger. So it's kind of a, a thing that people do. So I always wanted to drive, like driving. I was like, I can't wait to get a car. I can't wait. So that's what I would do, is save all my lawn care money up so that I can get a car when I finally turn 17. So
and this started at 7 or 8. You were 7 or 8?
Yeah.
And you were saving money for a car?
Yeah. So that's kind of where that came from. Yeah, always been interested in math and science, tech. My father, like I said, was a software engineer, so I went to Rutgers University, graduated with a degree in computer science and math. And right out of college, I started working at a company called Lockheed Martin, the world's largest defense contractor. So they build missiles and satellites and all kind of stuff. But very quickly, well, actually, let me backtrack. In college, I was able to network with a few people, and I joined an organization called, at the time, it was called PrePaid Legal. Now it's called Legal Shield. They're a network marketing organization, and they basically sell like a legal insurance product. It's like you pay a monthly fee, kind of like health insurance. You pay a monthly fee. You get to contact an attorney literally every day if you want. You can have consultations. You can get letters and phone calls on your behalf. They'll fight traffic tickets for you. It's all included. So doing that business was extremely difficult. Like, I think my first year I made something like $900. So because it's sales. People, I mean, you have to, it's something that has to be learned. It's something that I never really did before. But the thing that I got from that, and I'm actually still a registered agent with the company even to this day, which is now like 20 years later, I think. But it's like insurance sales. So there was a lot of personal development. I went to a lot of conferences and really learned about marketing and business and how to talk to people. And eventually, became the one to start doing the presentations and training new people and that kind of thing. So on a weekly basis, I would be in front of a room of anywhere between 20 to 100 people, presenting information on products and services and all that stuff, and learning how to sell and learning how to market. So that information that I got from PrePaid Legal was invaluable, because that allowed me to transition that kind of formula and use that to catapult some other businesses as well. So that's kind of where I got a lot of the foundation for like which books to read, your Think and Grow Rich and your Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of books. And then really started going on my own personal development journey. So between actually reading physical books and having an audible.com membership, when I'm in the car, for the most part, I listen to audiobooks that are really keying in on areas that are helping me learn new things to like kind of push me forward. If there's one takeaway, that's huge. Like, you have to absolutely invest in yourself more than anything else. And that's something that no one can ever take away from you. You have a skill for life, whether it's public speaking or marketing or sales or learning a new tech skill, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm trying to think of the timeline of how we're progressing here. So
yeah, but that's already super early that you were doing all that kind of personal development stuff, because honestly, to be truthful, I never was big on, I was studying like real estate stuff for years,
sure.
But never personal development, kind of business growth and personal development type books until, excuse me, until like 2 years ago. So I'm very new to the personal development mindset and world. Like, I had the mindset from all the real estate conferences, but actually reading these books on another level. Yeah. So you have like decades of personal development experience, but the point of that is, guys, it's never too late to start. Just start, no matter how old you are. Start your personal development journey. That only really helps you grow. you learn so much if you take it seriously. You learn so much about yourself. But sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I mean, I second that, I third that, I fourth that. That's it can't be understated, the amount of change that you can see in a person when they just become a more elevated version of themselves when they start to engage in personal development. And that was really ground to me at the conferences and everything that I went to, and just learning some of the business principles from people who were there already doing it. One of my mentors back in the day used to say, it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. So my thing was, though, like, okay, I'm gonna, the phrase, if you hang around five broke people, you're gonna be number six. If you hang around five wealthy people, you're gonna be number six. But in growing up in the area we grew up in, I wasn't like exactly next to Millionaires Row. So I couldn't like just go talk to my neighbor like, hey, you make $2 million a year. Like, how do I do what you're doing?
Exactly. So, unless maybe, I guess if you lived in Somerset, you were the closest. Was it Somerset? Yeah, Somerset was it.
No, it wasn't Somerset. It was Twin Hills. No.
I thought Somerset was the more expensive houses.
No,
over by the school.
Country Club. Country Club was number
one. Country Club was, yes, okay, Country, and of course Country Club, the name of it. So yes, that if you were in Country Club, I guess you were the closest to millionaires, right. But I don't know if any of them were actually millionaires. But anyway.
So I thought to myself, so what's a way that you can interact or at least glean some of the knowledge from people who are doing it without actually knowing them? And it's listening to their podcast, it's just reading their books, it's engaging in personal development. So a lot of my friends actually would say, I mean, even to this day, I mean, I've had friends who say, what's this you're listening to your car? Let's put on some music. Like, this. Why are you doing this? Like, how is this benefiting you? So, yeah, I mean, that really allows you to have the mental wherewithal to stand the test of time when you have that personal development. So,
yeah, and I want to add in there too, like that just already shows you can have friends, but it's basically not all your friends are going to have your mindset. And it comes down to that whole thing of surrounding yourself with the people who are where you want to be in the future, because you have a similar mindset. And you have to, like, even now, me hanging out, people will invite me to go out for drinks or to go out to brunch or something, especially if I know it's just going to be like a party brunch where it's just loud music and we can barely even talk. Like, I'm fine with going to talk and connect and build and see what you're doing and talk about like our growth and development. But most of my friends are not wanting to sit around and talk about that kind of thing. They're just sitting there to drown out with music and drink. I'm not going to go to sit and look at you and listen to music, but we can't talk because the music's too loud. Like, I'm just not interested in the same thing. Like, I don't want to go to, I can drink in my house. I don't, like, if we're going to go out, like, I want it to be something building or culturally, like, a cultural experience that's different. I'm not down, like, against having fun, but sometimes you're not going to hang out with your old friends doing normal things that regular people do because you want to just build and grow. Like, if it's not about growth, development, real estate, wealth building, I kind of tune out. It's about gossip or anything else that's happening in, entertainment world. I don't give two craps. Yeah, but anyway,
it's funny you say that. Like, people, I'm one of the few people of the male species that are not really that much into sports. And like, so I'm not the guy who's like, oh, don't talk to me, honey, I'm watching the game, that kind of thing, right? And it's like, I'm into sports, I like to participate in them. Like, I played all kinds of sports growing up. I'm a really avid action sports addict now, which I'll talk about later. But watching the Eagles win is not making me money. Like, they're already rich. Unless
exactly,
I feel like my time is literally being wasted away. Just and it's a cool game. I like it. I like the concept, but it's very rare that I'm going to spend precious moments that I could be doing other stuff to like push myself forward. So those are kind of the things that I think about that I keep at top of mind all the time. So where was I in the timeline? It was Legal Shield, college. Oh yeah. So after college, then I got a job So I did the things that they say, go to school, get good grades, get a job, and live happily ever after, right? But the first job that I had was in a place called King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. That's about an hour to an hour and a half away from where we grew up in Willingboro, New Jersey, and that commute was insane. Like, yeah, waking up at 6 a.m. and driving there and getting there and sitting in front of a computer all day doing this, and I was just like, this is horrible. Like, it's horror. I felt like I was in jail, right? So, um, you know, not talking bad about the company or anything. I mean, I think that's just kind of like the office environment. But I'm a person that really, you can ask my mother too. I mean, it's very hard for me to sit still. I'm always like into something, moving around. I mean, even you can't tell now, but in this office that I'm in, I have the stand-up desk here. So, and there's like a balance board that I can walk on, and there's all kind of things to keep me moving. But yeah, so very early on, realized that the 9 to 5 thing isn't, although it can give you money to take care of expenses, and kind of maintain your current lifestyle, going above and beyond is what you need to do. Starting some kind of business, having some kind of multiple streams of income. And that led me to a book called Multiple Streams of Income. I forget who it's by. I think it's Robert.
That's by Kiyosaki?
No, not Robert Kiyosaki. It's a book called Multiple Streams of Income. But that's basically what first introduced me to, hey, there's other ways that you can do stuff. You have multiple bills, so why don't you have multiple streams of income to take care of multiple bills? So
it's funny. I actually never even heard that analogy before. I never heard anyone say that. All the stuff has that multiple bills, so you need multiple streams. I like that. I'm use it.
So yeah, in that book, it introduced, because I was wondered, like, you ever wonder what the banks do with your money when you deposit it in the account? So it started to unpack all those things that the banks do to make money with your money. And like, I could really have an entire show with you just on my dislike of the banking industry, but I won't go there now. But needless to say, they take your money for free. You're giving them your money for free for safekeeping, right? Mm-hmm. And they go invest it in things like tax lien certificates and buying up other loans to make more money with your money and then pay you 3 cents a year on every $100,000 that you invest with them, right? So it's horrible return, and on top of that, they have nerve enough to fee you to death.
I was just about to add the fees. Like, if you don't have a certain balance in there, then they're feeing you on top of you. It's just like, it's horrible. It's horrible.
So yeah. So in that book, it really introduced me to, like, I was like, wow, there's just so many things that you can do, like so many opportunities. Like, I want to learn about this and I want to do that and I want to do that. And like, whatever I'm interested in, I really like sink my teeth into it and try to get it going. And then, once I kind of get it on autopilot, move to the next thing. Like in my 20s, I'm 39 now, right? But in my 20s, I was very guilty of what I like to call shiny object syndrome. Right? Shiny object syndrome, because it's like, oh, bright lights, shiny object. If you're passing on the road and a car explodes next to you and it's on fire, people will come from miles to watch it burn, right? Because it's like, it's a shiny, oh wow, what's happening? It's a fire over there. So the same thing can hold true in people's lives. Like, this business idea is great. We're going to make $1 million with this. Like, we'll go on to this one, or this one's great. We'll go into this one. So in that phase, it was good and it was bad. It was good because I learned a lot of things. I learned what works and what doesn't work. But it was bad because not having focus on a singular thing to try and grow one thing. And that's my phrase. I have it hanging up in my office. I have a sign that says grow one thing. So it's okay to have multiple businesses, but you can only actively grow really, really intensely focus and grow one at a time, in my opinion. Or at least that's at least for me. So just to kind of gloss over everything that happened in my 20s, because I know we have 30 minutes here. So we're still participating in Legal Shield, selling legal memberships, these legal insurance memberships, setting up meetings and pushing that product. So I would work 9 to 5, and then from 5 to like midnight, I would be setting up meetings and making phone calls and doing marketing, passing out flyers, putting road signs up, making radio ads, participating in signing up, doing billboards on the highway, training new people, doing meetings. It was a lot, right?
Yeah.
So eventually I was able to build up a workable income in that business. I mean, it didn't surpass my full-time income, but it provided some supplementary money for me to go on.
Did it surpass your expenses?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things I learned is that you can't really look left or look right. You have to run your own race, because a lot of people were like that I would see who were super successful in that. There's people making $100,000 a month, $500,000 a month. I'm like, geez, how are they doing that? This guy's only 25 and I'm 23. How is he doing that? And you don't know like what people's story is. You don't know where their background comes from, what their family, upbringing is. I mean, they may have been spoon-fed entrepreneurial tactics, since birth. I wasn't, right? I'm figuring all this stuff out as I go. During my 20s, I was participating in that. Actually, was very, very avid music lover. I played the piano. So I actually became a DJ too. I learned.
I forgot about that.
I learned to be a DJ actually from reading a book. And then I went and bought the equipment and just did it.
Wait. You read a book and became a DJ?
Yeah.
Like you didn't have like a mentor or train. Like how did you literally just read a book and then you bought equipment and started practicing with it?
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
Wow.
So that became another stream of income too. Because I was really into math and science. I'll tell you this story. So we always have these conferences in Las Vegas. And I never played in a game. I never gambled or anything like that. I paid maybe $10 in the slot machine. But there's this game called Casino War. Basically, it's whoever gets the higher card is the winner. It's like if you get a 5 and the dealer gets a 4, you double your money, right? It's the dumbest game ever. But so this lady who was with me at the PrePaid legal conference was like, "Hey, Drew, come over here and play." I was like, "No, I don't know anything about these card games." And she was like, "It's easy. It's just like I declare war." So I did it. I put down $10 and I won like $4,000 that day, which was insane, right? It was just beginner's luck, right? So I'm like, this is like free money in Las Vegas. Like, why doesn't everyone do this? Like, it's insane. So
they tricked you from the very beginning because they let you win $4,000 from 20. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had never seen anything like that. So from then I was like, oh, well, this game is kind of dumb, but what about these other games like blackjack that makes sense? And I hear about people card counting. So I used some of my technical skills to develop some card counting simulator that will really test the different strategies of card counting, so I could see which one is most effective, that requires the least amount of mental effort. Because I don't take anything for face value. Like I've read a lot of books on blackjack and card counting, and AP. AP stands for advantage play, so it means advantage player, right? Those are the people that casinos watch out for, because they actually beat the casino and they make money from them over time. So you don't need a really high percentage. Like if you play perfect strategy in blackjack, the casino only has like a 0.5% edge over you. It's the best game to play in the casino. But if you do card counting, depending on what strategy you use, you can increase your odds over the casino by between 0.1 to 0.3%, which is still very minuscule. But if you do that over time, over millions of hands, you can actually make money.
Okay, so what I want to know is, what is the most you've ever won in a sitting of blackjack or game or tournament or whatever, and what is the most you've ever lost?
Gotcha. The most I've ever won in a day was probably $92,000.
$92,000 in a day?
Most I've ever lost was probably 47.5 thousand.
Oh my God. From you being, how long were you playing blackjack as a professional? You were, I don't know what the terminology or how you become a professional player, but
all professional means is that you make a living and you make money off of doing something. So you could say that you are a professional podcast host if you are generating revenue from doing podcasts. So you could that's really the term, what the term professional means. So yeah, so where was I at? So I started making the programs to do that. And then I took that knowledge and I started going to Atlantic City, and my parents thought I was insane. They were like, because I would leave work, and this is kind of when things were winding down from doing prepaid legal. I would leave work at like 6, 7 o'clock, and then go to Atlantic City and stay there till 4 a.m. and then come back home and then go to work again. And I would do the same thing every day.
How did you not like just fall out?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, like my parents literally were like, my dad was like, took me aside, like, is everything okay? Like, so, yeah, I mean, it's, I'm just telling my story just to be transparent. I mean, it's not something that I recommend for most people, because it's a lot of up and down. It's stressful. But it's just something that worked for me, that allowed me to take stuff to the next level, right? So I was living at home at the time, and I was working that job, and then I would go and play in Atlantic City at night, and I made enough money to buy a house.
So you bought a single family house?
Yeah. So all the houses I have ever bought are single family. I haven't done any multis yet. And that's where you and I will partner one day.
Yes.
But yeah, so I made enough money to buy a house, and then I did the strategy where you basically just you buy a house with cash, you know that's an undervalued asset, you fix it up, and then you refinance it, pull the equity out, and take a little bit of that money. And the best thing about that is that it's loan money. It's not like I prefer buying and renting. They call it the BRRRR strategy, BRRR, buy, rehab, rent, and refinance, BRRR.
Yeah.
So I prefer that over flipping, because flipping, I mean, even though there's 1031 exchanges, so you can avoid taxes, but buying and renting and refining is so much easier of an exit strategy. And it's tax-free money that you can defer taxes forever using that strategy, forever. So that's what I did. I bought a few houses in Philadelphia. I had one in Jersey, and
they were all rentals after you BRRRR'd them.
Yeah.
So how many did you end up acquiring?
They're all rentals. I think I had like 6 at one point. But my only goal while I was living at home. And I've since sold a couple of them off because they were underperforming. But my goal was that, hey, I'm living at home. You know, I don't really have to pay many bills. I'm just, paying for my car and for cell phone, that kind of thing. But when I moved out at like age 27, right?
Uh-huh.
When I move out, I want my real estate income to take care of my bills, so I don't have to rely on my job to, like, hey, if I lose my job, I can still live. Right.
Wait, so your parents didn't see you making money from buying all these houses and making money and charge you, be like, look, you got to pay us a little bit of rent?
No, they didn't. They're amazing people. They're
very good. Because I'm charging my daughter, they start flipping stuff or getting rentals. All right, you still living here? Why you got your place? Okay, you need to start paying mom some. No, I don't know. They're still young, so they have some time, but I'll think about it.
Some commission.
If I'll be nice.
No, you'll be involved on a joint venture, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, that's true. If I'm a joint partner in their deals, then that's my payment, I guess.
Yeah. So that I was doing that during my 20s. I was DJing. Oh, you also mentioned magic too. I'm actually a professional magician, so a professional close-up magician. And I read a lot of books on sleight of hand, and it really helped me with personal skills, like interpersonal skills, and how to interact with people, and really helped me learn a lot about people, because any business, you deal with people. Like, money is exchanging hands between people. So you have to learn how to interact with people. What's the phrase that I always say? Form. So whenever I'm talking to somebody, like, let's say you're making small talk, it's the perfect acronym that you can use. So FORM stands for FORM, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. Family, occupation, recreation, motivation. So, for example, you and I, hey, Nicole, how's your family doing? Oh, you have kids? Oh, how's your husband? What does he do for a living? Da 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 da. That covers family, occupation. So, what kind of work do you do? What kind of business are you interested in? Da 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 da. How does that go? How can we learn from each other? Is there synergy here? Recreation. What do you do for fun? What kind of, you participate in sports? Do you go on vacation? Do you horseback ride? Whatever. Motivation. What motivates you? What kind of personal development are you into? So that's kind of the acronym that I always keep in my mind. And I don't think about it anymore, but whenever I meet people, that's the exact blueprint that I take when I'm talking to them. And
I just want to interrupt and say I have never heard that before,
okay.
and I love it. That is a great way to for networking. If someone is not a good networker, it's a great way to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, why have I never heard this before? They're so simple. Oh, I'm gonna use that too. All right, so many things I'm taking from you. So with the magic, I knew you were really good at it because you were doing magic since high school, and you'd be doing close magic to me, and I'd be like, "Come on, Andrew, tell me how you did that. Like, how the hell? Like, is it literally right in front of my face?" He's really good. So I'm mad that you just read a book and then just practice and knew how to do sleight of hand and be just really good at magic. Like, you read a book and just started buying equipment, and then
one book. It was a lot of books.
we read some books, and then what I like about the consistency in your story is that you read books, you sink your teeth in, like you said, and then you go implement. Like, once you read a few books and it's like, all right, let me go try this now. And you actually spent money on, you went and bought DJ equipment. Most people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to spend the money on DJ equipment. What if I fail? Or what if this happens? Or what if that? Did you ever have any of those limiting kind of mindsets against being scared to actually implement what you've been learning because potential failure? Well, how did you overcome that?
Absolutely. I mean, I still do to this day. I mean, I still fight against myself. I mean, we are our own worst enemy. And it's whenever you're delving into untested waters that your mind starts to wander and say, oh, what if I mess up? Or what if this doesn't go the way that I'm supposed to? What if I go bankrupt and lose everything because this is a bad deal? So what I found is that basically, I'm sorry, I had some background noise. You don't hear anything on your end, do you?
It was a little bit, but not anything crazy. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what I found is that the more your knowledge level increases, the lower your anxiety level is. So as knowledge increases, anxiety decreases. So when you're not knowledgeable on something, you are very apprehensive. You don't know what you don't know. So I took a class called Landmark Education. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that before?
It sounds semi-familiar. Okay. Who runs that?
So Landmark, it's basically a personal development, a very intense personal development course. It's pretty expensive too. That a lot of business leaders, a lot of past presidents, CEOs, have taken to elevate themselves to the next level in terms of thinking, because the way you think controls everything that happens about your life, right? So once you can control what's upstairs, or you can really move your life in the direction in a more intentional fashion, right? Yeah. So one of the distinctions that was made from Landmark, one thing that stands out is that they distinguish. Imagine, I forget what those circles are called. You know how that diagram? Oh, Venn diagram, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a situation where there's things in your life that you know. Those are the things that you know. They're in this circle, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have things that you don't know. But you don't know those things, right? So, for example, you know that I am your friend, correct? But you don't know, let's say, how to do XYZ magic trick that I did for you back in high school, right? But you are aware that the trick exists. You are aware that this is a thing, but you just don't know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the second circle, right? But then somewhere out in outer space, there's things that you don't know that you don't know.
Yes.
So those
I want to add a fourth circle to that.
Okay.
There's some things that you think you know that are not true.
That's true. That's true. That is also true. Yep. So and that's where I started. Once I made that distinction, I was like, things that I don't know that I don't know. Like where banks invest your money when it goes into the bank account. I had no, that was not even in my purview of thought, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what reading books does. It opens up your mind to things that you don't know that you don't know. And then you can start to then dig deep and pursue where your interests are. So a lot of people have said to me like, oh, you seem like you do everything. How do you ever, progress and this kind of things? But I'm passionate about a lot of things and I like to learn. I'm continually learning new stuff every day. So that's a little tidbit. You can definitely Google Landmark Education. They have different classes in cities all across the United States.
We'll have the link to it in the show notes and to the cash flow book that you mentioned, or the multiple streams of income book that you mentioned. We'll put it in the show notes. But yeah, that's one of the things. I think 2019, I was ready to start growing and progressing. Sure. And so I literally Googled, what do rich people invest in, or what do rich people put their money in, or like just something about like what do wealthy people do with their money? Sure. And I just Googled that and I just started going down the rabbit hole and I found a couple of different things. And I just, like you, just dug in and read as many books as I could get my hand on about that topic. And then I'm like, okay, I've read enough. Now, how do I start finding out more and actually talking to somebody? So I would just go to all the people who wrote the books, they all had companies, and I'd go to their company, set up a consultation. So I had just as many consultations as books that I read, before I decided on to which company to move forward with, and all the other different things that I found out about. And so it's I knew about those things before, and then I joined these multifamily communities, and then it became a thing in the multifamily communities. And people were like, oh, have you ever heard about this? And I'm like, yeah, I knew about that 2 years ago. Because I just was Googling information and just
inundating yourself with it.
And following the path of where that led me and trying to figure out as much as possible. And I know there's still so much that I don't know, which is partially why I even started this podcast, because I'm like, I need to find out the stuff I've never even heard about before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, don't kill me, but I'm going to have to cut this episode short. This is too juicy, and we need to do this in a part 2. So stay tuned for the next episode that airs, and you can hear the rest of our conversation.
Did you love this episode of Share the Wealth Show? Be sure to connect with Nicole by following her on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. If you picked up any of the gems that were dropped by today's guest, make sure you not only put them in your bag, but if you know of someone who would benefit from this information, don't keep it to yourself. Share the wealth and make sure to leave us a rating and review. We'll see you for next week's episode. Subscribe so you'll be notified.